Shall we give it a go? So I actually don't know how this is going to work, but I mean, like, if it makes it into the start of the video. Hey everybody, how you doing? Yeah, we got one and it looks amazing. I actually love this. Little bit, what's the name? I think like you have to kinda press these buttons. So we're trying this for the first time because apparently you can just export the recording, and yeah, we've literally first time messing with it. I don't have any idea how you get this onto stream, but there is a way of swapping the backgrounds. Like, I don't know if this is going to just instantly stop the recording, and I don't know how to put in custom backgrounds, but if I press this, watch this just like kill the recording. Oh no, it still goes. Look at that. So, or is that Halloween? That's a Halloween background. Hey, look, there's some bats. Hello, Kamori. And then this. We got the fire background. Hey, gonna go see Blitz. And yeah, I know I'm not synced correctly because I'm messing with settings. But I believe that if we press, oh look, I've been to places, got some. But I believe if we press this one, this is like the big green screen background, and like from here we can either just chroma key it out when we actually figure out how to get this into what's that say? When we figure out how to get this into like Streamlabs, or if we ever need to do a recording like this, even though I'm not directly looking at you all on the video because I'm just still reading things, I believe that with this green screen I can now just like get rid of it like this, and I can import a custom background. So like if we want to do these reviews live, you want to see me moving around like with Pokemon, I should be able to do this. I think that worked. We'll see when we stop the recording. But for now, you know, I'm gonna keep messing. Hope you all enjoyed it. Again, it's a bit weird the first time because I'm still like looking, you know, looking down here. I'm like, oh, what's this thing? Gotta read this thing down here, and oh, what's that thing over there? Gotta read that thing over there. Just because, no idea how this works properly. But that's the joy of having it for the first time, isn't it, chat? That's the joy of like messing you've got that childlike wonder voice, just woo, setting it up for the first time. But yeah, enjoy the review. Button. I'll even leave this bit in, just like, hey look, we're recording it on Twitch for the first time. Look Twitch chat. Wait there. Where's the background? Let me just push that down. Look at that. Look at that. We got the thing. We got the thing, Twitch chat. We got the thing, YouTube. I know this is the review, but look at that. We've got the thing. We can literally like resize. We can do all sorts of things. I've just resized the game capture. That's why, because that's not in a locked state. That's what's getting resized. But yeah. We can resize when we're playing and just be like, oh look at us, we're playing. Please don't do that. And we can make it bigger if we're ever going to do like a review, which you're obviously watching on YouTube right now. So let's bring the background back. There you go, bring the background back, let's go. Most of the budget went to the Grand Underground. No cap, not just Arceus. I mean, yes, that's where some of it went, but like again, I'm gonna ask you a genuine question, Kamori. Well, no, I'm not gonna ask it. I'm gonna wait for you to hear it, because they had a project going, which wasn't Sleep, but that's why Sleep, we've heard nothing about it in like 6 months, because in the 6 months that like Sleep was announced, it's not the fact that it's cancelled. They could still bring it back, but they've shelved it to pour the money into Arceus. And there's another... It's not a game, it's more like an application, but there's another application that they were really pushing, like, during Sun and Moon and Sword and Shield, and it's dead. Like, you go to said application, it's been stripped completely bare, and you probably didn't even know it existed, because they funneled the money into Arceus. But yeah, let's go. So, you know, this, now that it's all set up, Diamond and Pearl review, baby. Let's just see how it goes. Obviously, for any of you watching on Twitch, you won't see the footage spliced over the top, so it might sound like a bit of a crazy person at times, where I'm like, look at this, look at it right there, why don't you see it? But it's because it's going to be in a YouTube video. But yeah, why is the screen flashing? Are you telling me something? Is there an issue? No, it's fine. Alright, well let's try it. Let's have a go. Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl are remakes of the Gen 4 DS games of Diamond and Pearl, and they kinda suck because they are half-baked and they feel like a bit of a slap in the face for many, as before this was announced across many, and I mean many directs, like the full live streams, all of like the pre-recorded videos, their Twitter, there was just constant spam of Gen 4 remakes when, Gen 4 remakes when. Dude, the Gen 4 remake, why are you telling us about Pokemon Cafe Mix? Where's the Gen 4 remake? It was everywhere. And I mean, no surprise. After the success of Omega Ruby, Mega Pokemon aside, as Mega Rayquaza like completely broke the meta and nearly destroyed competitive, like there would be no more competitive after him. But after the success of Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, aside from the Mega Pokemon, every single streamer, YouTube creator, they could not wait for the Gen 4 remakes, especially because of Sword and Shield. While Sword and Shield was not the best, it was the first game on the Switch, like the actual main series Pokemon games now finally arriving on the Switch, whereas Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire were still locked to the DS. So, while there was the high quality animations, and the tree, that tree, you know, it was a first attempt. And I mean, there was things that they did scummy, there was things that they did wrong, like the whole bring back the national decks and that the whole other kerfuffle with it, which was just a mess. But here we are, we're on the Switch. How can they possibly... And we've got Let's Go. Let's Go is still technically a Kanto remake. So, like, we've had 2 attempts, and now if we're getting the same quality as Oras in Gen 4, but on the Switch, we could potentially expect to see something like Let's Go. I don't want to say Sword and Shield, but, like, I will. We could potentially see something like Sword and Shield, but better for the Gen 4 remakes. And everybody was really excited, and rightly so, as Gen 4 is classed as the peak of Pokemon. Like, it has one of the largest regions that we've seen thus far, with many diverse ways to travel all the routes. I mean, see this route versus the modern game of Sword and Shield side by side, the difference is obvious. Your rival was the perfect balance of friendly and a dick. So like, he wasn't full dick like Gary, but he wasn't full bitch boy like Hop. He was like the perfect blend of, I'm an asshole, go fuck yourself. But when the chips were down, he was still like, I'm going to back you up, I'm a good friend. So like, you had the perfect blend of a rival. You had a lot of great characters like Cynthia and all the Team Galactic that we'll get into later. You had the Grand Underground, where many a children spent many a night staying up late on their DS, me included, just constantly playing the Grand Underground to dig up every single one of them fossils. You had a excellent story, where you had like, oh, we're just gonna go all out. We're gonna go like as crazy and as wacky as possible. Like, we're going to not only go for a legendary Pokemon, we are going to go for God himself, like actual creator of existence overall. And we're going to have a galaxy-sized team with commanders that have the names of planets like Saturn and Jupiter and the Queen herself, Mars, who is the best Pokemon girl, no matter what you say. I know some of you will be like, but Cynthia though. No, Mars is the best Pokemon girl. And then it was like, oh, but we're not just going to capture God and say, hey, we rule the universe now. But Gardevoir, we're talking about humans. If it got down to like Pokemon, I'm also doing Twitch chat. Somebody said Gardevoir, but no, we're doing humans. If we were going to go to Pokemon, then, you know, you have to bring in a lot of the Pokemon waifus like Lopunny and Glaceon. But in terms of like actual human, Mars is best Pokemon girl. But yeah, so it's not just like we're going to capture God. We're going to capture the embodiments of time and space to get to God. And then when we've captured God himself, we're not just going to be like, oh, okay, we rule like the universe and the afterlife and heaven and hell. We're going to ask God or force God to make an entire different parallel universe. And we're going to go completely crazy with it. And that's what I like, because it just like decides to go as over the top as possible. And of course, it was the most challenging generation. Cynthia herself is known as one of the strongest champions of them all, and her Garchomp is known as the strongest boss monster of the franchise, especially in the Platinum Edition, where everybody got even more levels. Like Mars' Purugly at the start of the game in Diamond and Pearl, like in this remake, is level 16, but in Platinum she's level 17. They give everybody extra levels. So that Garchomp in Platinum is considered the strongest boss monster in the entire franchise. So like, it provides a great challenge, it's got a great story, it has a memorable team, unlike Flare and fucking Yell, which are shit. It has fun characters, it has a big wide world to explore, not only on the overworld, but the Grand Underground itself. So you can really see why all these streamers and YouTubers were saying Gen 4 remake though. You can really understand and justify all that begging and bitching. And given, as I say, given that it was now coming to the Switch, people were really hyped for what this thing was. People were completely like sold on seeing Gen 4 fully remastered in Sword and Shield graphics, or, you know, even better than Sword and Shield, because this is like after Sword and Shield. Because, you know, this guy, you know, the tree. Tree aside, a few janky textures aside, imagine seeing, what are they called? Imagine seeing the two big cities of Eterna City and Veilstone towering over you like Motorstoke and I don't remember Sword and Shield. Hammerlock, Motorstoke and Hammerlock. Like, and then seeing everybody like Cynthia and Commander Mars, the best Pokemon girl, in all their fully 3D rendered glory, rather than just static 2D locked sprite work, which still looks very nice. And then we got this cheaply made garbage. And this is why this video is going to be so short, because it's no secret as to why the game is this way. Because of the Pokemon Company and what they've done, and the fact that they don't care. Because half the money was siphoned into Arceus, which we'll get to. Like, it's still great. The music, really nicely remade. The Grand Underground is as fun as ever. Even more so now with the whole, like, Diglett thing, where you can get, like, 40 Diglets to up your box chance, so you get a special statue in the boxes. The boxes themselves that give statues. The secret bases coming back. The new little areas where you can find the different Pokemon. Like, the Grand Underground, fully expanded. Fantastic remaster of the Underground. It's just as challenging as ever. Like, everybody, even though you do still get the XP share forced on you, which is shit, but, like, you know, I'm doing a Nuzlocke, and, well, here's the footage of Jupiter's skunk tank, which I didn't know it had flamethrower, so yeah. Right, here's a skill check. Poison gas. We're gonna get poisoned. That's not good. We knew we were gonna get poisoned. He's dark. How much does Water Pulse do? We might have to switch out. What's Snarl do? A lot of damage. Too much damage. Blame will die. Blame. Okay, you need to get out of there, Blame. Let's go to Flick. Flick, you gotta be a tank again. Is there a way to see how much friendship you have with your Pokemon? In this game, I don't know. Like, in some of the later games, like Sun and Moon, you could go into the friendship place and, like, feed your Pokemon the Malisadas. Was it, though, they have the models? I mean, yeah, like... No, when you're in battle like this, yeah, it looks better, but then when you're in the overworld and they've got the fucking Funko Pops, it looks like garbage. I'd rather... If you're not going to make the whole game look like this, then just make the overworld look sprite-based. Oh god, this skunk tank is going to poison every one of our Pokemon, isn't it? Oh... I mean, this isn't going to be too bad, but, like, we got to think of something for fucking this skunk. It has flamethrower? No, no! Oh my god! Oh, Flick, please, please don't die to the poison. Flick, just Flick. 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 Flick, you'll be fine. Flick. Flick. Oh my god. Fucking skunk has flamethrower. It's not affected by psychic moves. It's a dark type. Oh no. Oh no. Ah. Nearly fucking died. That was not fun because we're on a Nuzlocke and we nearly like lost everything. But it's still as challenging as ever. So like it's still good. It's still fantastic, and like if you've got a Switch, I would recommend picking it up. I would recommend like going and buying the game. But then everything else does just feel really cheap. The animations for like some of the Pokemon attacks and some of the characters talking have still got that high quality animation. Like some of them are just ported from Sword and Shield. You can see like that's some cheap shit right there. All of the UI, you can see that it's been ripped from some of the other games. It's really cheap. And then there's the most controversial bit of all, the overworld and like just this Funko Pop bullshit, which in reality like shouldn't have happened, because there's two different art styles which we'll get to as we go down, and it makes it conflict with itself. But first of all, like the fact that they decided to go with a fully faithful remake of a top-down because of the Funko Pop art style and how cheap it looks, it feels like it's just the 2D sprite-based game but with a coat of HD paint. And, you know, the sprite-based game looks way better, and you might as well play the sprite-based game. But then the second bigger problem is the Funko Pop human models having this uncanny valley. Like, you know what they look like in reality, but then they've been turned into these weird little doll things, and you're like, that ain't Mars, that ain't Cynthia, that ain't Dawn. They're just, like, bad. And what makes them bad is their mesh work. Like, it really doesn't stand out on some of them like Dawn, but on others like Mars and Cynthia, which were designed to be tall and long, and I guess Jupiter, because she's also a very tall lady, it really does stand out, just like the problem with the meshing on these models. As it's the same model, it's not a boy or a girl, it is a genderless husk, I guess. It's like Frisk, but with I'm a genderless child. It is a genderless husk, and all they do is slap the suit and hairstyle on that they need without any regards of whether it's a male or female. And in some of the female cases, especially like the ones that have more longer designs, like Mars and Cynthia, it looks really bad. Mars is like probably the best example of this, where I can give two good versions that we will zoom into, because one has the artifacting on it and it's like, oh god, why? So we'll use Mars. So Mars has two things wrong with this Funko Pop model, which is the height, because of how her suit's designed, and the sexiness, which does sound like Spyro, you're just here to simp over Mars. No, like, there is a particular part of her suit that was designed with a female in mind, and because, like, it's a generic genderless model, you have to remesh the suit to not be a female, which causes clipping issues. So, like, if we look at this Funko Pop model of Mars, first of all, that big fucking bobblehead on that skinny ass neck, goddamn, that looks ugly as fuck. That looks so fucking ugly. It just does not work at all. But more the problem is the meshing. So in terms of length, if we look at like a normal picture of Mars or normal model, in between her breasts and her neck, there is a lot of black space, like right here. And this means that the logo, the golden galactic G, can sit very nicely in between her neck and her breasts. So, like, it doesn't have to be compressed or stretched or anything. You just get a regular size G, and it just sits very nicely where it's supposed to sit on the, what do you call, I guess, the collarbone? It just sits very nicely on her collar. Whereas on the chibi model, because there's not as much space in between the neck and the breasts, they've had to crush down the G. And if we zoom in on the model, when you crush down the G, like, you can see that it's not like correct proportioned, and just right there, enhance, enhance, enhance. You can see the pixelization. You can see the artifacts from where they've decided, hey, you know what? We're just gonna compress this without any rhyme or reason, making like it look bad. And then you get like the breast part, the sexy lady part, because she is the queen, where her suit was designed as a female suit. So if we look at her breasts, you can see the suit itself was designed to have the round cups which hold her breasts, and because like it's a space suit, or the idea of the galactic suits are a space suit, they're like rubber and lycra, so they expand. That nice curve on the breasts stretches down into this really nice smooth curve. And what's gone on? Why has that stopped tracking? Has the thing crashed? No, everything's still good. But yeah, so like it has this really nice curve. It looks smooth, it looks fine. If you want to take the, you know, fan art, if you want to go a little bit more extreme, she's not that big breasted. They're more like Jupiter breasts. Jupiter is a bigger lady than Mars, but if you want to take some fan art, it really kind of shows off the idea of the way her suit was designed. You have the little round bit with the cup, and it has this nice curved line that stretches the model. Now if we take this onto the chibi model, because there is no breasts, it is a flat chest, we're already going to be losing that curve. And because we haven't got the length to get this nice flowing curve that will gently flow into the big round part of her dress, you get this very long, straight, jaggedy line, and you can see where the polygons, especially on like the top near the G, you can see where the polygons are starting to tear through each other, and you don't get that nice rounded effect. You don't get like these nice smooth effects because these models were not made for taller, longer characters or taller, longer designs. And in the case of some females, like as with Mars and the way her suit's designed to highlight the breast circlet, they were not designed to be put on a genderless model. Cynthia is kind of the same. You look at Cynthia in her big form, she has this very big, long, flowing coat. And as we've just seen with Mars, that has the long, flowing parts, because you've had to crush down and shrink down that coat, the length does not match the model, and it just looks bad. And this is like, it wouldn't be too bad if this was the whole game. And this is why people are divided on the graphics. Because if the whole game was like this, then, you know, people would get over it. But then you go into battle, and there's the correct version of Mars. There's the real 3D version of Jupiter. There's the real 3D version of Cynthia. And, like, all the design choices, like where, as we've just talked about on their costumes, like, oh, look at that on the 3D model. Because she's now got the longer model, in between her neck and her breasts, there is enough space for the G to just naturally fit, and it looks normal, and it hasn't got any artifacting on it. And then looking at the breast area, you've got the slight roundness, because she's a girl, and it drops down into the nice, normal, very nice looking curve that leads into the dress itself. And the same can be applied to the others. So, like, what the fuck? If you have all the 3D models and you have the 3D backgrounds, why is the entire game not like this? Why do we get half the game like this piece of shit, and then the other half like this amazing shit? So now you have a game that has an identity crisis, because you've got two very different art styles conflicting with each other, and one is really jarring to the other, and then it really shows like how bad one art style is when put in side by side. Because again, if it was like Sword and Shield, you know, we can laugh at the bad textures in Sword and Shield all day, but the bad textures were consistent. The tree in the wild area was consistent with some of the lower quality textures in Motorstoke, was consistent with some of the lower quality textures in God, I need to think of another town. Pierce's town, Spikemouth. So it's like Sword didn't look the best and some of the textures were bad, but it had a consistently bad art style, so it was less like, oh my god, stand and stare at it, stand and stare at it. Whereas here, there is a good art style in the battle area where you've got the full 3D models that look good, and then the overworld with the fucking chibi models with this big ass bobblehead and skinny neck that look really fucking bad. So like, it makes the bad art style stand out more. So like, why did you do that? Why didn't you just make it full 3D instead of like the chibi art style? I mean, again, I know why, and this is like where it all comes down to, and where it all basically is like, nothing I say matters, because we know where the money went. So it's like, hey, why not just buy or pirate a ROM of Platinum? And I don't have an answer to that. Like, Platinum is the definitive version. There are things in this remake that are missing. The distortion world is missing. Like, Platinum is the definitive edition, and if somebody said, hey, do I get this or Platinum? Which somebody did say that. Tyler, you know. It was Blame, he was in the chat. But he has a valid point. I could only say get Platinum. Like, if you're a Nintendo fan, if you're a Pokemon fan, if you have the Switch, like, yeah, pick it up. Go for it. It's definitely worth picking up. It's definitely worth looking at. It's definitely worth playing. I mean, holy shit, the Grand Underground alone to play with your friends. I've had fun in the Grand Underground playing with your friends. But like, if we're being real, if we're being honest, and we looked at it critically, it's not worth 60. And there's all the mistakes of previous games. Like, they've got a bad art style, and they should have just gone full 3D. It's still doing the 2 different versions thing, whereas Arceus is just the 1 version, but it's still doing the 2 different versions thing. It's still got a lot of problems, like forcing the EXP share on. It's got like a lot of problems, and it is a half-hearted remake that's in reality only worth $40. But at the same time, it was for Arceus, and this like leads us in to the ending where it's like, Game Freak, fun fact, Game Freak did not make this game. The guys that made Pokemon Home, that ransomware that you have to pay $12 a year for as a chance they delete your Pokemon, they made it. As Game Freak is working on Legends Arceus, and it's big, like really big, and the Pokemon Company is dropping a lot, and I mean a lot of money into Arceus. They're throwing a lot of money, resources, time into Arceus, and 3 things have gone down for Arceus. This game in particular, half the staff and money went right into Arceus, and that's why it feels very half-hearted. Pokemon Sleep. Do you remember Pokemon Sleep, chat? Do you want to know why we haven't heard about it for 6 months? Do you want to know why it just magically disappeared and we've heard nothing for 6 months? Because it's been shelved. That doesn't mean it's outright cancelled. It could still very well happen. But for now, at this point, all that money that could be like put into Sleep needs to go into Arceus. So right now, you will not hear anything about Pokemon Sleep until after Arceus is out, because Sleep's been shelved for Arceus. And the last one, which I want to know how many people actually knew about this one. You ever heard of something called Pokemon Pass? Yeah, bet you didn't even know what Pokemon Pass is. But Pokemon Pass has been gutted. It's been stripped bare and abandoned. Like, you know, here's the homepage of it.
For some reason there are gaps in documentation for my login information, but I guess when you have a fresh login, the app of Pokemon Pass is pretty barren. They've just completely abandoned it.
And it's just gone. It's just been completely stripped down and abandoned. You probably don't even know what Pokemon Pass is, and it doesn't matter now because all of the resources that were stripped out of it have gone into Arceus. Now, from what we have seen and has been talked about, the huge open areas, not open world as, you know, it's Monster Hunter opposed to Breath of the Wild, which is not the best, but if it's the first attempt and at least something better, that's fine. But, you know, from what we've seen of, like, you flying around these very big areas on this bird, or swimming around these areas on this fish, sneaking up on the Pokemon, the quote-unquote shadow Pokemon just outright attacking the trainer, which means you could potentially die. Like, they could just potentially outright hit you and kill you. Arceus is going to be big. Like, really big. And depending on how all this shakes out, Arceus is set to revolutionize Pokemon as we know it. Like, this is literally being made out to be Pokemon 2. The evolution, the next step, the next evolution. And the Pokemon Company sees it the same way, and they are pouring everything into Arceus. Like, literally everything. Which, if successful, will be that next big step that Pokemon really needs. But it's a double-edged sword. If it works, then great. It's the next step in Pokemon's evolution. But if it is, then you can never go back. Like, if it's everything we are expecting and more, then when we come to the standard games, we won't be able to go back from a Breath of the Wild, Monster Hunter Rise like game where we see all of this sneaking up on the Pokemon attacking you, the two different styles like the power style and the quick style. We won't be able to go back from all of that to the standard Sword and Shield, linear corridors, 8 gym badges, champion blandness. So it's just not going to work. If you, like, pull this off, then Generation 9 and any spin-offs like Gale of Darkness 2 and so on will basically have to be Arceus. The series was already wavering at Sword and Shield, and Diamond and Pearl here, being a half-hearted remake, did not help. So if this goes right, then there's no going back, and every main series game going forward will basically have to be Arceus, which is fine because, again, Arceus is looking amazing. But on the flip side, coming right out after Diamond, rushing that ship for early 2020 when you could easily make it your yearly 2022 Christmas release. You know, give it that one extra year in the oven just to be safe. That can kind of bode well. That bodes bad. Like, it could bode well because you're confident that it's already good. But from the public eye, it bodes really bad because you're putting that out right after Pearl, and we don't know how finished that is. And given that we are at the end of November, going into December, we are basically 1 month away from it releasing. Like, there's no turning back. At this point, Arceus has gone gold. The master cartridge of Arceus is now in the factory, being mass produced into all the distribution cartridges. So like, if they show off anything of Arceus at the Game Awards or just before it comes out, whatever we see is what we're getting. Like, there's going to be no more polish, no more fixes, no more anything. What we see is what we're going to get. And if worst case scenario happens and it's shit, the Pokemon Company is going to lose a lot, and I mean a lot of money. We are talking easily billions, not millions, billions. The amount of money, time, resources the Pokemon Company has poured into this, and you know, the clear siphoning of money from both projects out like this and projects now on hold like Pokemon Sleep, and projects that they've now outright abandoned to put that money into Arceus like Pokemon Pass. That's a lot of money, and if it goes wrong, it's going to go wrong hard. A lot is riding on this, and it's going to be a make or break moment for Pokemon. And that spins us back round to the Diamond and Pearl remakes. The way it was made, how fans were so excited at the sheer idea of the Gen 4 remakes. Like, this big, it could have been great. We could have got Gen 4 in the Sword and Shield style. To get this, while it is faithful on many levels, faithful in like the leveling system and the story itself, faithful in the amazing work they did to the Grand Underground, faithful in all the 3D models that they made, while it is basically everything that we wanted for the most part, and it's still a fun generation, and I still recommend getting it for any Pokemon fan or even just an average Joe for the chance to play what is debatably the best generation out of them all. It is disheartening to know it could have been so much better and we could have had something truly great, but in the end we got this half-baked remake because it's merely a stepping stone to Arceus, making Pearl into this pseudo-sacrificial lamb on Arceus' altar. Half the quality and time was sacrificed to Arceus to make Arceus as good as it possibly can be, because Pokemon needs it to be that good. And while some Pokemon fans are fine, like I'm sure Tyler's in this boat, while some Pokemon fans are fine and it doesn't matter to them, they are just happy that they got their Gen 4 remake, they're just happy that they got what they wanted. The more critical are in full copium mode, rationalising the lower quality for our Lord and Saviour Arceus. And if the prophecy comes true, then great. The cut manpower and money of Gen 4 was well spent in order to give us this amazing next step in Pokemon's life. And we can hail the Gen 4 remakes as the martyr. You weren't the best, and you could have been so much better, but you paved the way for something greater. You paved the way for something truly amazing. But if Arceus has problems, and if it becomes a failure, then Gen 4 had all its resources siphoned away for nothing, and everyone will feel worse, as we could have had something better, and it's not like the siphoned resources helped Arceus. So then it'll come to the point of, you know, all these siphoned resources for Arceus, and Arceus was still shit, so was it worth crippling the best generation remakes for this mediocre project? Which is why it's just, yeah, get it, play it. But there's no point in criticising this one, as every problem, every complaint at this point in time, without the knowledge of what's going to happen, it will just always be the same rebuttal. You know, it's the two versions. It's not worth $60. The chibi models, some of the art assets look bad. All of them are going to have the same rebuttal of, yeah, it's not the best, but they put that money into Arceus to make sure it's good. I myself have already had that conversation with our resident Blue Eyes White Dragon. Blame basically came into the chat yesterday and he was saying, oh, it looks kind of generic and they have added basically nothing and they haven't got all of the extra stuff like the Distortion Realm and the entire Pokedex is not there. It's only the Pokemon up to Arceus. And like, why should I spend $60 on these when I could just download a ROM of Platinum, which could technically be considered the definitive edition of the region, because it has the extras like the Distortion World and all the extras of like the fights being harder, see Mars's Purugly going from 16 to 17 and so on. And Blue Eyes is right. Platinum is the better version, and it is more worth playing via legal means or via a ROM. And I've got no defense other than the Arceus defense, as it's 60, which in reality, for how half-hearted it is, it's not worth 60, it's worth 40 at most. And the overworld looks bad and there's still two versions. I could sit here and give you every problem under the sun, but it all falls by the wayside, as I know what both the casual Pokemon fans and the more dedicated Pokeshills and the Poketubers on YouTube are going to say. I'm on their side right now. I'm doing something I hate. I, for once, am defending a AAA corporation. I'll steamroll Kotick and Andrew Wilson all day for their loot boxes and their abuse of their customers and just like being vile, nasty pieces of shit. And you know, I'm not saying that I don't do that to Pokemon either. Look at my Sword and Shield review and the DLC of the Isle of Armor. I pretty much with Sword and Shield ripped the shit out of Pokemon, considering the bring back the National Dex thing, and I was on Distant Kingdom's side where it's like, you're a multi-billion-dollar corporation and you can't even fix this fucking model, and this modder does it in a week. You're pulling a Bethesda, you know. Todd Howard, well, we like the community to mod the game. We like the community to fix the game for us. Do you want to buy another copy of Skyrim? And it's like, no, fuck you. And that's me ripping into Sword and Shield. So it's like, I'll rip into you for Sword and Shield all day, Pokemon, as well as other things, which, you know, unite. $40 skin. But Pokemon, just this once, I will look past all the problems, all the failings, all the everything it could have been talks. I will gladly be the mascot. I will join the Pokeshills as your defender. Just this once. Because you are doing something rare in this industry that no one ever really seeks to do anymore. Innovation. You could continue to follow the road of laziness and greed. You could have taken the path of sloth, like Activision, just pumping out the same bland, generic slop of Call of Duty year on year. It doesn't matter how bad it is. It's the same shit every year. People will buy it. It's Call of fucking Duty. You could have taken the path of greed, like EA, cloning the same game and filling it to the brim with gambling boxes and casinos and outright mentally scarring and manipulating your younger audience, which you kind of are doing with Pokemon Unite with the loot boxes and $40 skins. But you've already had your thrashing for that. Not that I'm not gonna not continue to thrash you for having $40 skin and loot boxes, but you know, we're here to talk about Arceus and what you did to this game. But this one time, this one single time, you clearly have a vision for a true big change, and you're not playing it safe. You're not doing what most corporations do, like Blizzard. Blizzard is so fucking tight that they refused to put money into a new IP or a remake. They refused to put money into their new IP of Overwatch, which is why Overwatch 2 is going to be dead before it even comes out. There's a 90% chance that Overwatch 2 is just going to be cancelled or scrapped, or if it does come out, it's going to be total garbage. And then Blizzard also didn't put any money into Warcraft 3 Reforged. It's, you know, you can go look up the videos of Warcraft 3 Reforged, because they want all the money and they want to play it safe. And you're doing the opposite. You're doing something that AAA doesn't do anymore. You are throwing a lot of money beyond recognition, into Arceus. This one time, you are truly, genuinely trying to do what this industry hates so much: innovation. And while these remakes are mediocre, I will agree with the fans. I will agree with the YouTubers. I will agree with the Pokeshills. If this is what is needed to be sacrificed in order for genuine innovation in this industry and potentially a revolutionization of the Pokemon experience, then your Pokeshills are going to be more than happy to overlook it. But just this once. All the world's a stage, and everyone has everyone has their eyes on you. Don't let everyone down, or
this is going to be very entertaining.
Yeah. So stay tuned, folks.